about another big hand for the Upper Anacostia, Lower Gold Coast, Symphonic, Drums on the Potomac, a global go-go fusion. How about another big hand, guys? Another big hand. And I'm Bobby Hill with WPFW Radio. It's a pleasure to be here and get a chance to talk to these great guys. And we're also going to turn the mic over to you, so form your questions and just come down to the corner, gentleman with the hat on right here, and you can pose any questions you might have as well. First thing I want to mention is on the side. When I was coming down here, I noticed all the orange bikes, all the orange rideshare bikes. Anybody down here ride an orange bike share to the Kennedy Center? Well, this is the most current phenomenon of bike riding in Washington, D.C., but it was actually an earlier phenomenon that really drew me to go-go. I grew up on 14th and Upshur, and any given day during the summer, you could see crews of bikers riding down the street in their 10-speed with their flags, and they'd be blowing their whistles, and that whistle, blowing the whistle, was a Chuck Brown song. Chuck was really influenced by that vibe, and that vibe influenced Chuck. So there's a long history with this music. One of the things that I heard Thomas say at the beginning when he was setting up this piece was that he was trying to create a global, let me get the exact words, trying to present go-go culture in multiple platforms. Anyone want to talk about some of the platforms you were trying to show through this presentation?
Well,
and this is Greg Tate.
Well, I mean, I think first thing to be recognized is this is really three bands in one. Mm-hmm. You know, Mark and I, as DC veterans, residents, exiles, what have you, we've been talking for about 3 years about wanting to do some kind of project that honored the music in New York, kind of brought go-go to the fore and combined it with the things we were doing. And we finally hit upon a concept and combinations of things we wanted to work with in terms of working with DC poets. You didn't get to hear all the work. There was Thomas's work, but there's also Sterling Brown and Reginald Dwayne Betts and Melanie Henderson and some other poets. You'll hear in other iterations of the concept. And also, I mean, you know, we wanted to do this, what I call percussion discussion, between what Go-Go Mickey does and what Samir does and what Abdul does in terms of bringing together those three schools, mm-hmm. you know, of drum and polyrhythm. You know, tabla, talking drum, kunga. You know what I mean? Because they speak a common language, but they had different dialects. So it was about finding that blend. You know.
How long did it take for that blend to actually occur between those three?
12 hours and 2 days.
12 hours and 2. And not the full ensemble, I mean, particularly the drum aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, it all happened at once.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way, you know, you just get used to kind of having to hit it like that in New York. I mean, that's what, in a lot of ways, that's New York musicians' claim to fame. It's like, you give them the music on Tuesday, they've learned your whole set by the first rehearsal on Thursday. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, but then, you know, it was about just coming together, finding that connection as people and as players, you know, through the compositions, you know, because it was some of everybody represented up here. Some of, you know, music, you know, Quick and D. Floyd and Mickey had developed with Rare Essence, mm-hmm. Mark's composition, some Burnt Sugar Things, Courtney's original composition, which was a commission mm-hmm. for this project.
Much history. I think, Thomas, you can.
No, and I also wanted to say that, piggybacking that the whole idea of the global symphonic, right, is that, you know, go-go has been sort of crippled by outsiders and certain insiders pestering and pressuring it with the quote-unquote notion of going national. But there's nothing more national than being born and raised in D.C. So in that way, go-go is already global and national, because everyone comes here. And I think that what this exchange, especially between the percussionists and the entire band, proves is that it already exists. It just hasn't had the other art forms come out and speak for it. You know, painting, theater, poetry, and all those kinds of things. And that's starting to happen. And I think that's one of the things that this is a testament to. It's happening in many places, not just in D.C., for go-go. And I'm probably just a small example of that work.
Well, this is the only place where the drums along the Potomac really is truthfully happening, because we got the Potomac right here,
But
as you guys
a
all
river's
know.
a river.
But I wanted to ask, we have the tablas from India, the talking drum from Senegal. Are there any plans to also take this music to those places as well?
Oh man, you know, we're half band, we'll travel. Who's sending us the plane tickets? We're there.
Whoever can commission it can make it happen. All right, all right.
Hi, I'm Dee Floyd's sister, Bianca, and it's really been a pleasure for me to hear you guys, because for us, I think you kind of bridged the generation gap. I'm a 60s, 70s generation person, and I had memories of Sun Ra and Sly Stone and Mother's Finest, and I remember taking Donna with us to hear Stevie Wonder when they used to do Human Kindness Day, and it got a little crazy, but so, you know, I wanted to know if someone could speak to that issue. I mean, Chuck Brown, I remember when it was Chuck Brown and Soul Searchers and the Matadors and those guys playing in D.C. So can you talk a little bit about that?
When you say talk a little bit about it, just talk about.
Generation.
Oh.
It's to me, for me personally, it was bridging two generations. Donnell's my younger brother, and he's playing go-go. And I remember when he was growing up, like, we used to kind of, you know, because we were Sly Stone and we were Sun Ra and we were Miles. So I think you've put that all together, and I just want to know if anybody's old enough maybe to speak to that, or maybe Donnell can speak to it.
Well, to me, I think that go-go has so many different forms and shapes and colors, and it's really, that's what I was trying to say when we built the song, that the foundation is always the drums and the congas. And so Backyard would put rap on top of it. Chuck Brown would put a jazz classic on top of it. Rarsons would put an R&B song on top of it. But so no matter what you're talking about, it's still go-go. The foundation, the call and response, the never stopping between songs. So that's why it's been able to last generation after generation, because the foundation is always there. You can't build it from the roof. It has to start from the foundation. It's always been the percussion.
One of the things you hear about hip hop, they refer to the phrase parks and backyards in terms of where it's performed, where it's played. That's a similar thing with go-go as well. It's always been opportunities to perform live and outside to a whole bunch of people and get a similar energy that did develop right up front. You want to talk about that?
I'd like to say something about that. I grew up here in Washington, D.C., following go-go. Wherever I heard that beat, you could hear that beat, you know, from a distance, and I used to run to it. But I was inspired, you know, speaking of D.C. as being an international place. My parents, you know, were very musical. I come from a very musical family, and I spent a lot of time right down here on the mall. And I would see everything from music from Peru, from music from Senegal, music from everywhere at the Folklife Festival. And then you'd hear go-go. And it let me know that the roots of it came, you know, from the journey that we took here as Africans. And it also blended, you know, with, you know, the Native Americans that were here. So I can hear a lot of different things in this music. And I've always been attracted to what happens when you go to a go-go, when you see 500 people in a synergy with the band, with the drum, you know, and one of the most important things for me when I listen to go-go is the drum. And that is something that you don't really hear in other music, you know, outside of African music or music from Latin America or whatever. I celebrate go-go as one of the most African musics that we have in America. And just like Cuba, you know, there's over 100 bands at least in DC alone. And, you know, this is a gold mine for, you know, a new movement that's been here for 30 years. It's indigenous to Washington, D.C. But, you know, people have been snatching a little bit here and there. Like Donnell said, you know, you might hear rap over top of it or R&B, but really it's the drum, and it's that thing that we have inside of us that it really attracted me to the music and keeps me coming back. And that's what I want to share with the world. And that's why I'm really proud to have Donnell Floyd, Go-Go Mickey, and Quick, and these gentlemen on stage and as a part of this, you know. Because when Greg and I first talked about it, you know, I was trying to imagine how I'm going to get these cats out of D.C. because they work 5, 6 nights a week, you know, so here we are.